Hello all, a very good morning to everyone, and today we'll discuss writs, types and scope of the writs. In the previous class I discussed about High Court, its composition, the appointment of judges to the High Court and the jurisdictions and powers of the High Court. So today I will try to elaborate our discussion with respect to writs, types of writs and scope. While discussing jurisdiction and powers of Supreme Court and the jurisdiction and powers of High Court, we discussed about writ jurisdiction of Supreme Court as well as the writ jurisdiction of High Court. Okay, and you do know that judiciary is responsible to enforce the fundamental rights, and as we know that fundamental rights are in the part 3 of the Indian Constitution, which has assumed some special significance because fundamental rights are justiciable in the nature, meaning if the fundamental rights are infringed by the other two organs of the government, that is executive or legislature, then the aggrieved person, the aggrieved party can move to the court directly, to the Supreme Court under Article 32 or to the High Court under Article 226 to enforce his fundamental rights. Okay, that is the meaning of justiciable nature. So these writs plays a very important or significant role in enforcing the fundamental rights. So before going into the types and scope of the writs, I would like to define a writ. What is a writ? So writs are nothing but written orders from the Supreme Court or High Court that commands constitutional remedies. Do you remember Article 32? Right to constitutional remedies, right? Remedies for what? For the infringement of fundamental rights. If your fundamental rights are infringed, then remedies are provided under Article 32, right? So writs are written orders from the Supreme Court or High Court that commands constitutional remedies for Indian citizens against the violation of their fundamental rights. You have to remember this. So the main objective of the writ is to enforce the fundamental rights if they are infringed or violated by the executive or legislature. Then from where did our constitution makers brought this concept called writs? We brought this concept from English law, that means from Britain. There they are known as prerogative writs. There they are known as prerogative writs. Okay, right. So the Supreme Court under Article 32 and the High Court under Article 226 can issue the writs. Meaning the Constitution of India has empowered the Supreme Court as well as High Court to issue writs under Article 32 and under Article 226 respectively, right? Then what are the different types of writs? They are habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari and quo warranto. Okay, we will discuss about each and every writ in a coming few minutes. Okay, further, in addition, the Parliament under Article 32 can empower any other court. You have to note this point. Parliament under Article 32 can empower any other court to issue these writs. What are these writs? Mandamus, habeas corpus, certiorari, quo warranto, etc. Since no such provision has been made so far, meaning till now no other court in India except the Supreme Court and High Courts of the state has been given the power to issue the writs. Okay, So only the Supreme Court and the High Courts can issue the writs and not any other court. Okay. Though the Parliament is empowered to give the power to the courts to issue the writs, Parliament hasn't been given the power to issue the writs to other courts. Other courts in the sense, the courts which are, the courts which are, excluding Supreme Court and High Court, the other courts are not given the power to issue the writs. Okay, right. So before 1950, only the High Courts of Calcutta, Bombay and Madras had the power to issue the writs. Okay, please note this point. Before 1950, that means before the enforcement of the Indian Constitution. We do know that the Constitution of India has come into existence, or the Constitution of India has been enforced in January 26, 1950. Right? So prior to 1950, before the enforcement of the Constitution, only the High Court and High Courts of Calcutta, Bombay and Madras had the power to issue the writs. However, Article 226 now empowers all the High Courts to issue the writs. Am I making sense? Yes. So, if you look at the writ jurisdictions of the Supreme Court and the High Court, the writ jurisdiction of High Court is wider than the writ jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Okay, we will see how the Supreme Court's writ jurisdiction is narrower than the writ jurisdiction of the High Court. Right. So the Supreme Court can issue writs only for the enforcement of fundamental rights. You have to note this point. That means only for the enforcement of fundamental rights under Article 32. The Supreme Court is empowered to issue the writs. Okay, whereas High Court can issue writs not only for the enforcement of fundamental rights but also for any other purpose. So what is the meaning of any other purpose here? Any other purpose means for the enforcement of an ordinary legal right. Please note this point. So therefore, the power of Supreme Court with respect to writ jurisdiction is less than the power of the High Court. Therefore, we can say that the writ jurisdiction of High Court is wider than the writ jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. So what is the meaning of a jurisdiction? Jurisdiction means the extent of power, or the extent of exercise of authority or power is called jurisdiction, right? So here it is mentioned. Thus the writ jurisdiction of the Supreme Court in this respect is narrower than that of High Court. Okay, next, second point. So the Supreme Court can issue writs against a person, note this point, against a person or government throughout the territory of India. You have to know this point. Throughout the territory of India, the Supreme Court can issue the writs, whereas High Court can issue writs against a person residing or against a government or authority located within its territorial jurisdiction. We already discussed in our earlier classes that the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is coterminous with the borders of the state, the borders of the concerned state. Yes or no? Whereas Supreme Court can issue writs throughout India, but the High Courts can issue the writs in their respective states. Right? Yes. Or outside its territorial jurisdiction only if the cause of the action arises within its territorial jurisdiction. If the cause of the action arises within its territorial jurisdiction. I already discussed in my lectures of High Court, right? If you want, you can visit again and just listen to what is the meaning of the cause of action arises within its territorial jurisdiction. Okay. Thus, the territorial jurisdiction of the Supreme Court for the purpose of issuing writs is wider than that of a High Court. Yes or no? Yes? Right. And a remedy under Article 32 is in itself a fundamental right and hence the Supreme Court may not refuse to exercise its writ jurisdiction. On the other hand, a remedy under Article 226 is discretionary, and hence a High Court may refuse to exercise its writ jurisdiction. Okay, let me explain this point. From Article 12 to Article 35 or 36? Yes, very good. From Article 12 to Article 35 are under the Part 3 of the Indian Constitution. They comes under the part called fundamental rights. So all these articles which are mentioned under Part 3 are justiciable in nature. Yes or no? And Article 32 itself is a fundamental right. So therefore, the Supreme Court has to enforce if the fundamental rights are abridged. That means the Supreme Court has to issue the writs if the fundamental rights are abridged. It is not the discretionary power of the court. If there is a valid ground, or if there are valid evidences to prove that fundamental rights are abridged, the Supreme Court has to issue the writs. It is not the discretionary power of the Supreme Court, because Article 32 itself is a fundamental right, whereas Article 226 is not the part of the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights. Therefore, it is the discretion of the High Court whether to issue the writs or not. Yes or no? Therefore, Article 32 does not merely confer power on the Supreme Court as Article 226 does. Am I making sense? If Article 226 had been the part of the fundamental rights, then there would have been no discretionary power to the High Court. Yes or no? Right? So the High Courts may reject to issue the writs under Article 226 because it is the discretionary power of the High Court. Okay? Therefore, that's why we call Supreme Court is the defender and a guarantor of the fundamental rights. Yes or no? Why we call Supreme Court as a defender and guarantor of the fundamental rights? Because Supreme Court has to issue the writs if fundamental rights are abridged and under Article 32. And Article 32 itself is a fundamental right, and fundamental rights are justiciable in nature. They have been given special status in the form of Part 3 of the Indian Constitution. And of course, fundamental rights are the part of basic structure. It has been said by Supreme Court of India in many cases, in many judgments. Yes or no? But in contrast, Article 26 is not the part of fundamental rights. Okay? Article 26 merely confer powers on High Court to issue writs. Therefore, High Court may or may not issue the writs in case of the abridgment of fundamental rights. That's why Supreme Court is called as the guardian or guarantor or defender of fundamental rights. Okay? Right. Okay. Next, in the next video, I will discuss the meaning of all the writs which are mentioned in our Constitution. Okay? Thank you.